Yes, life is. Yes, life is. Life is. Life is wild. Life is wild. In love, love is wild. Yes, and she is free and wild, absolutely wild. Yes, she is free and wild. Yes, she's absolutely, undeniably, incomprehensibly, undescribably, inconceivable, never-endingly free and wild. And even she can answer it. The question why, she will only laugh. Yes, smile and dance and laugh. Yes, even she can. Namaste. My name is D. D for Divine. D for D. Welcome to another episode of the Ascension Report. This is episode 7.7. It's now the beginning of October 2022. And there are things happening in our world. Yes, indeed. I think at one point I might have mentioned that the last several months, a lot of major things have taken place. On the 8th of each month, I believe starting in July with the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones. Then on August 8th, FBI raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago empire. September 8th, that was when the Queen's death was declared, with the Queen who had already been dead probably for a couple of years, from what I've heard. And October 8th came and went just this Saturday. I've not found out what has happened exactly, if anything happened on that day, but we do know November 8th is going to be the American midterm election, and a lot is riding on it. It may happen, I've heard it may not happen, due to the cabal's influence, because they know they're going to lose to the Republicans and lose basically their power and their hold of the American Senate and the Congress. We'll see what takes place in that arena, and we're going to see within 30 days. 30 days. It's actually the 10th of October right now. Thanksgiving here in my country, Canada. I'm right here, sitting among the green, my green neighbors and friends, allies on all sides, and with the stream flowing in the background. I've been wanting to do more videos and get these posted on the various social media that I'm learning to work with. I think the most important thing in any of these videos is to basically bang the idea into the heads of people that we are now in a transition into a new age. It already has begun. It began in 2020 officially with the tribulation and the difficulties the world went through in 2020. And in 2021, of course, the big pharma owned by the cabal pushing their vaccines, and apparently 3/4 of the world has been vaccinated now. And I have been more than aware of different sources that have talked about and have shown the statistics and the facts that the vaccines are anything but safe, and effective. In fact, I saw a video, if I can remember the name, Ultra Mike MK Ultra MK Naomi, and it was all about the truth about the so-called vaccines in our world and the massive fraud and the game that the negatives has been playing on humanity for hundreds of years, probably longer. In fact, I know it's longer, but it's safe to say for hundreds of years the cabal has been playing their games and controlling and manipulating all of mankind and almost all world countries. And we know that they are masters of manipulation and control because in 2020 they basically set up their whole system of the World Health Organization, WHO, declaring the so-called world pandemic, and it was not. It was a lie with fake and phony PCR tests, which all just show positive, fake positives, and all the fudging of statistics that they used for so-called deaths from COVID, rather than admitting it, well, it's death with COVID. And these people that died had other comorbidities, other physical ailments that really was the cause of their death, and it wasn't COVID. At any rate, they proved to the world they can control the world, because they basically got most of the world countries shut down, scared, telling people to stay at home, shutting down businesses, basically destroying the world economy, which is one of their ambitions, and attempting to destroy the American economy, which is one of their main ambitions. They didn't succeed, but nevertheless, they tried. And in fact, right now in the year 2022, they're just doing it and going at it full guns ablaze. They basically are gradually taking down the world's economy, certainly taking down the American economy, certainly creating inflation all around the world, certainly affecting Europe, America, and many, many other countries with the problems of inflation, of the high price of gas or food, basically slowly decimating the companies that produce food. I've seen the statistics of companies that were basically blown up, these strange fires that erupted in food processing plants all over America, and we're talking about there was dozens and dozens and dozens, sometimes 8, 10 buildings or businesses a month, or in every 2 months they had these fires that took place. Basically, they are trying to create the food shortage in the world, aside from doing everything else they can to cause the downfall of the world's economy. And they do that for a specific reason. And the reason is because they want to bring in their world reset. And they're telling us, yes, we have to do a whole world reset. We have to set up the system again. Otherwise, everything will get destroyed. But what will get destroyed, ultimately, is the cabal's fiat money system. The money mafia games that they play with us, basically the debt slavery they've kept most people in the world in for much of their lives. Credit card debts, debts for mortgages, debts for cars, and debts for everything else. The world is waiting, of course, for the Nasara Gasara quantum financial system to kick in, and God willing, it may happen in the next few months. I have heard that in the next 2 months, major things will be taking place. I have heard, in fact, as far as the Golden Age is concerned, that the possible shift, called the event, known as the event, triggered by these sun flares, which is basically triggered from the center of the galaxy. This energy that will basically comes up from the center of the galaxy, hits our sun, and then our sun affects our planet Earth. It's all part of the upgrade from the third dimension to the upper fourth and fifth dimension. It's all part of the event, part of the ascension, part of all the prophecies that have been noted by many world cultures, countries, indigenous peoples from hundreds and even thousands of years ago. We're talking about India, Persia, China, the Muslim countries, the Christian world coming back from 2,000 years ago. If this upgrade or this the triggering of this event takes place, it's possible it may take place in 2022. We only have 2 months left before the end of 2022. And if it doesn't take place in 2022, then we have 2023 to look forward to as far as bringing in the positive changes, as far as taking down the complete power of the cabal on the planet, and bringing in the new positive new age, the new age, Aquarius, the new heaven on earth, basically the starship of the higher consciousness, the event, the harvest time talked about by the Christian Bible and by the raw entities who channeled some information back in the 90s, I believe. So here we are, first week of October 2022. And what comes next, we'll see. I've heard many things have been speculated on what's coming next. Some major things are apparently about to take place because they call this a Red October. It may be that Biden will finally be taken down and shown to the world with all the evidence necessary to show that Democrats basically rigged the election, cheated, and stole as many votes as they could from Trump, especially in those swing states. I have heard that from the information that the military has, and they have all the proof. They have all the proof at many levels, and they have said that Trump probably got 80 million votes and Biden maybe 15. But as I have said in my book, actually, and in other situations, yes, Trump may have got 80 million votes and Biden may have got 15 million, but the Democrats were much better cheaters. And so we have the so-called president, known as the resident, Joe Biden. And apparently it may be that Joe Biden will be coming down before the end of this year, 2022. The major marker of the declaration of Queen Elizabeth's death, so-called death, on September 8th, is a major marker. It's known as basically the London Bridge coming down. And that was the marker many people have been waiting for. It means that the positive alliance, the White Hats, known as the White Hats, will be going even more intensely into the takedown of the cabal, not just in America, but all around the world. Most of the truthers in the disclosure community believe that the White Hats, the positive military, or the positive alliance made up of military from around the world, and some pockets of intelligence agencies and some major political leaders, which include Trump, which include Putin in Russia, and Modi in India. And though the media, of course, has completely spun the truth in such a way that they're making like Putin's a bad guy and Russia's the bad guy and Ukraine is suffering, people of Ukraine, they're suffering so badly, but in reality, Putin works with the White Hats, the positive military alliance, and it was necessary to take down Ukraine, mainly because they went into Ukraine, they destroyed all the chemical and bioweapon factories, they freed a lot of children that were basically controlled within the rings, basically sex slave children rings in Ukraine and all around the world. They've freed a lot of children, thousands of children, I've heard. I've heard they've actually basically gotten rid of a lot of the Nazis that are in Ukraine. The president, so-called President Zelensky, who works for the cabal, certainly he apparently has not been arrested. It may be that he's merely someone is taking his place and is acting it out, just like another person is actually acting out the role of Biden, or using, computer-generated images, clones, whatever other tools they may have up their sleeve. The point is, Russia and Ukraine, Russia did not invade Ukraine. Ukraine never actually officially solidified their boundaries. So Ukraine was still part of Russia. Russia did not invade Ukraine. It just went into that part of Russia that has not actually declared their boundaries. Russia went into Ukraine for various reasons, which I just mentioned, but mainly to help their own Russian people living in Ukraine, the people that speak the Russian language. Putin is not the evil guy. He's not the Hitler. He's not the Stalin of the world, nor is Trump. They actually work together, and it's said that Trump may come back in as president before the year is over, and apparently one of the first things he'll do is he will actually negotiate with Putin, and he will stop the fighting in Ukraine, and which will make him, of course, a good guy in the eyes of the world. But in reality, Trump and Putin are on very good terms and have remained on good terms ever since the so-called president, the resident, began his so-called presidency. I have heard that Putin has actually phoned Trump many times since that war began in March, talking to Trump, telling him what he's doing, trying to get his advice, trying to explain what has happened, explaining to him that there were many occasions that American mercenary soldiers were killed in Russia, and he had to apologize, and Trump told him they should not have been there in the first place. So the Ukraine, by the way, is basically the home of the Khazarian Mafia. The Khazarian Mafia is the original cabal. And they have always been the most evil of all beings. They were basically Satanists from way back when. They were Satanists going all the way back into Babylon, when they were sacrificing human beings for their god known as Baal or Moloch or Satan, Lucifer. So the Khazarian Mafia, based in Ukraine, has to be removed from this planet. And Russia, Putin knows that those evil forces have to be removed from and eliminated totally in Ukraine, because their people will never be safe unless that's done. And nor will the world be safe unless they basically remove the cabal from Ukraine and stop all their money laundering, which has been going on in Ukraine for probably dozens of years. We know that the last 10 years, the governments have been all set up in Ukraine, using Soros's money and his organization and the people that work for him, and there are even some Canadian ministers that are a part of it. Canada is not innocent. Canada is part of the cabal from the government's side anyways. Trudeau, we know, works for the cabal, and there are several ministers that were involved in the last few years in setting up the Ukrainian government, which is basically just the puppet presidents. And that government was never there to help the people of Ukraine anyways. I know because I've heard and seen the statistics that the people in Ukraine, maybe they're lucky they make $100, $150 a month. And it hasn't changed in these last 10 years since their so-called governments were put in place. At any rate, I don't want to dwell on that subject too long. I just want to really pound the idea into the minds of all us fellow human beings, all us almost 8 billion human beings living on this planet, that we are in major times. We are in transition to a major new age. Answer it, question why she will only laugh. Yes, jump and dance and laugh. Jump and jive and laugh. Yes, life is wild. Life is wild. Love is wild. Yes, love is truly wild. And she is free and wild. She is free and loving in a wild. Yes, absolutely, undeniably, incontrovertibly, incomprehensibly, indescribably, inconceivably, free and wild. Oh, free and wild. Yes, free and wild, absolutely wild, undeniably wild. never ending.